Alright everyone, we have reached the final week of the season, and maybe in some years gone by things would have been winding down at this stage. That's not the case this year, because on Saturday we faced Rangers at Hampden Park. It's the Scottish Cup final as we aim for another league and cup double. So yeah, rather than winding down this week, we're building up and we're celebrating. And I'm sure we'll mention that game at some stage today. I think so anyway. If not, we'll definitely do it from tomorrow onwards. Today's video is mainly going to be looking back at an amazing weekend at Celtic Park, Saturday and Sunday. In fact, we're going to start with yesterday and, an incredible day for Celtic women. We've won our first ever SWPL title. And I guess with these first kind of triumphs and first competition wins, quite often they come in kind of dramatic circumstances, and that's certainly what happened yesterday. So we were playing Hibs at Celtic Park. We had a real kind of superior goal difference over Rangers, I think 15 goals ahead going into the game. Basically, we knew that winning the game would secure a first SWPL title for the team. But if you thought it was going to be a formality, it was anything but. We were poor, we missed plenty of chances, and the game was 0-0 going into the 90th minute. Rangers were winning comfortably in their match, so at that stage the SWPL title was going to Ibrox, but in dramatic circumstances, up stepped Amy Gallagher, 90th minute. She controlled, dribbled and shot right into the corner, sending the 7,000 or so Celtic fans off their seats. It was a magic moment. Think of it as the Sergio Aguero moment of the SWPL. And after we came so close to winning the league last year and it was snatched away from us in just as dramatic circumstances by Glasgow City, amazing for the team to win the league title yesterday. They've been threatening this for a long time. We've won trophies before. Last season, even though we didn't win the league, was the real kind of birth of the women's team, I would say, in terms of getting a kind of meaningful following with those two games at Celtic Park. As I say, there was 7,000 there yesterday. Despite all of the kind of drama over the Celtic end, that's a really healthy crowd. And we've won the league. We're into the UEFA Champions League again. We're going to be in the Champions route of qualifying again. And I think it just caps off a terrific weekend. And the women's team's going from strength to strength. And I predict over the next few years we'll become a real dominant force in Scottish football, much like the men's team. So a huge well done to Elena Sadiku, Kelly Clark, Amy Gallagher, Caitlin Hayes, the rest of the team as well. An amazing triumph for them, and well done to everyone who went along yesterday and got to enjoy that. I'm sure you had a wonderful day in the paradise sunshine. That was very Celtic TV, wasn't it? Paradise sunshine. That was also the case on Saturday when the first team, didn't have quite as dramatic an afternoon, but they got to lift a trophy just the same as the women 24 hours later. And yeah, we were crowned Premiership champions again. Callum McGregor got to lift that trophy again. And it was a pretty good game as well. Probably a better game than I was expecting from two teams, playing for not a great deal in the final day of the season. 3-2 win. I don't actually have anything really to say about the match itself. It's not the kind of game you want to really talk about. As much as I did enjoy watching it, I don't think there's too much we can read into it. The one point I would make is that I did think the match itself typified our season. We won by any means necessary, and I think there's a lot of taglines going along, around this team at the moment, and there have been in recent weeks. Folk talking about that being fun and this being fun. Obviously, about the Brendan Rodgers fun comments and don't worry, be happy, and we'll write our own story. There's loads of different taglines that you could have on t-shirts at the end of the season. For me, by any means necessary is the one, above all, that sums up this season. That was obviously the kind of banner that we had back when the team were waved off from Celtic Park ahead of that Ibrox derby, probably 6 weeks or so ago. And at that stage, we were right in a title battle. And you kind of have to look back at those moments and remember just how much things were up in the air. And we were basically going to Ibrox that day, obviously to try and win the game, but definitely not to lose that game, to keep ourselves in a really strong position. And that's something Callum McGregor spoke about on Wednesday. I think Greg Taylor actually did it after the game on Saturday as well. He picked out that 3-3 game at Ibrox as being the big one. So it's clear that was a big one with the team. Anyway, the point I'm making is that by any means necessary, that banner we had, for me, sums up the season, and it summed up Saturday as well. Celtic find a way to win by any means necessary. Now, obviously, Saturday, it was about Celtic fans partying, and we'll come on to that, and it was about, the team lifting another league title and all the amazing stuff that goes with that. And it was about 90 minutes against St Mirren as well. But probably above all, it was about Joe Hart's final game at Celtic Park. That was the kind of main... those were the main kind of images you'll see and videos you'll see were around Joe Hart. And certainly my favourite moments from the afternoon. Obviously, I loved seeing Callum McGregor lifting the trophy above his head, but even Joe Hart was involved in that. But I loved a couple of moments from Joe Hart. I think when he came out to the second half and the Green Brigade had put that display together, and I just thought that was an incredible display, and one that I wasn't really expecting to see at the second half. I love that they held that off for the start of the second half when Joe Hart came out to that goal. I thought that really had a huge impact on him, and got a genuinely brilliant reaction. I think he was genuinely quite touched by that, and he spent a good probably 45 seconds, a minute, just looking over at it, and kind of at one stage, you've probably seen the clip, he kind of gives himself a bang, just I need to get back into the zone here because I've allowed myself to drift off, and who can blame him? I just thought that was a wonderful moment. And after the game as well, he took the Kieran Tierney route and had the megaphone in his hand and got the "Don't worry, be happy" going, and I thought that was a wonderful moment as well. Just brilliant scenes. And by the way, I love that chant. I think, as much as I say the slogan of this season would be by any means necessary, I think the chant of this season is "Don't worry, be happy." Kind of every season tends to have a chant that sticks out. Like last season would probably be Bella Ciao, even though that was early on in the season. The year before would be On Top of the League, Form We Have Found, etc. And I think this season's is definitely Don't Worry, Be Happy. Right, let's hear a bit from Stevie after the game, and he certainly enjoyed his Saturday, and yeah, that is actually a real photo from Saturday, believe it or not. It's not edited in any way. Here's Stevie's thoughts from Celtic Park shortly after full time, and no, I do not have a clue what he does at the start of this video.
12 out of 13, Hamish. If you ask me, at the start of the season when I saw those scenes against St Johnstone, when the fans were so disgruntled and booing at the 0-0 draw, did I think we were going to get scenes like that at the end of the season? I would have been doubtful. There seemed like a real disharmony. Everyone was not pulling in the same direction. We were all disgruntled as a fan base, as a club. progress on to, you know, winter, it was even worse. I was thinking to myself, you know, I don't want to say I've been spoiled with success, because you shouldn't look at it that way. You should always, for what you pump into Celtic, you should always see yourself as wanting the maximum output, and that should be always wanting to win. And that's not a bad thing. It's not entitled, it's not being spoiled. It's just been so demanding on everybody that's accountable in this club, because that's what they owe us for what we put into this club. But I did have my doubts this season. After that 1-1 draw with Kilmarnock especially, I thought, yeah, just when you look at across the city, they were all like this, we were like this. But yeah, credit the club and the manager and the players even. They've pulled it all out. They really have. Turned it around. I couldn't be happier. Generally, look, I'm smiling. I'm not being forced or anything. It's been a magic day. I'm not going to talk about the game too much, because we all know Celtic 3 submitting 2. I do want to give a bit of credit. That's now 3 times submitting have came to Celtic Park this season. 2-1 win, where O scored the winner. The 3-0 game, when we really had to dig deep, when Hatai's brilliance sort of ended them. And then today, I mean, that could have been a real exhibition bout. Submitting could have came into this game holiday mode. By the way, I know this isn't the Panda podcast or YouTube, right? But I do just want to say, I do put the boot into a lot of other teams in the league. But I thought Submitting came and made a game of that today, and they were good. Hard to break down at times, but we did score good goals as well. I think in the end we deserved it. Lewis Palmer, I was surprised that we were the winner, because I was surprised he was on the park that long. Terrible performance, and fair play to him persevering, getting his head down and getting the winner, because I expected him to be hauled off after the first half. But I think, you know, next week it was actually credit to Brendan, because I was worried about seeing CCV and Maeda and Forrest in that lineup today. I'm glad that he left him out. I think we'll be at full strength next week, and I'm so confident for this final. But yeah, I guess we'll talk about that near the time. The day was just celebrating our success. As I say, 12 out of 13 league titles. It's just a period of utter dominance, and so many Celtic fans that are so lucky to go through these days. And I certainly had to wait until I was like, I think 12 for my first one, and ever since it's just been we've been trending upwards ever since that moment. Some of the scenes today with Joe Hart, and my heart's made of stone and all that, as you know, Hamish, but see at times when Joe Hart was speaking at the final whistle, I was like, fucking hell, I'm about to start busting into tears here. Wasn't quite at the Rockets levels or anything 2 years ago in that trophy day, but it was still, you know, such a special moment seeing Joe Hart at the end with the Green Brigade taking the microphone and doing that brilliant song that I know and love and definitely do sing all the time. But honestly, it's funny, because when I think of Joe Hart's start at the season, you know, he sold the jerseys against Feyenoord. Nearly the first 10 minutes of the season against Ross County, he had a howler, and I was thinking maybe have to look into winter into upgrading the goalie position. See, ever since that save against Aberdeen and the 1-1 draw away, he's been instrumental. He's been a big character, and he's just a huge leader, and we are going to miss him. So delighted that he got the send off that he did today. And when I saw Callum McGregor as well, again lift that league title, I was actually thinking he'll be desperate already to be lifting another one next week. That's the mentality we've got at this club, Hamish. We don't rest on our laurels, and if you look at the trophies that we've collected in the last 5 years, it proves that. We don't just let start partying going brilliant next season. It's a bonus. Like, we are demanding as a fan base. The club thrive off it, the players do, and the management do as well. And it's all just came together at the right time in the last few weeks to see us with yet another trophy day. I couldn't imagine, you know, being a Rangers supporter, I couldn't be managing support of any other club, especially in days like this. Doesn't get any better, but the day's just about enjoying Celtic, celebrating Celtic, and yet another league title. So buzzing for what they've achieved, especially in the last few weeks when we looked dead and buried at times in February. Well done to everyone again, and well done, Hamish, on your channel. Sure it'll continue to grow and go. I don't know if you've got near 7,000 subs yet. Hopefully towards the final you will. I'm sure that's something you'll think about nearer the time, but well done again to everybody involved with Celtic. A brilliant day, and Trophy Day really is one of the greats.
Yes, a big thanks to Stevie once again for giving up a little bit of time shortly after full time just to record that video and send it over. And he is right, we are, I think, around 300 subscribers now away from 7,000. The big challenge for this week ahead of kick-off on Saturday is to get to 7,000 subscribers. If you're watching and haven't subscribed, please help us get there. If we do, I hear we're going to have a magnificent Saturday. It doesn't cost at all. So yeah, please give that a go. It would be greatly appreciated. We also have a little bit of audio from after the game. Now, GigPod were along as one of the outlets that got to speak to a few different players. It was actually Daniel, who runs Daily Celtic on Instagram. Check that page out, who was there on behalf of GigPod. And a big thanks to him for sending this audio across. It is with Greg Taylor, and he's talking about another successful league campaign.
It was again another hard fought title. Everyone is never take it for granted. Success, as much as we've had lots of it at this club, it's really hard, and it's a real honour. So no, delighted to get another one.
Throughout the season, it was quite a bit of a battle, a bit of a slog at times. It was maybe trying to get the manager's ideas across and how he wanted to play it. When did you and the rest of the team feel that everything started to click?
I think the Gaff had a real important meeting after. I think it was St Johnstone at home. We didn't play great. We drew 0-0, and there was some things probably weren't clicking. And we went into Ibrox and had a big result with half our team fit. And I think the captain that day was outstanding. We got a big win then, so that was a big moment in the season. And then I think in terms of quality of our performances, probably the last 8 to 10 games they've improved every week, and it's been a real consistent. And it's no coincidence we've had every player fit. And then when you've got your top players fit, it definitely helps.
Greg, just quickly on Joe Hart, obviously it's his last game at Celtic Park. He's retiring at the end of the season. Do you think the send-off today was as good as it could have got?
Exactly, like what I know. Like I think it's a club like you can, and the manager spoke about. He's been to the Premier League, etc. Like my hairs are standing up talking about it. It's generally it's unbelievable. Like the work the guys put in to put tifos and displays like that, and for a club legend, I think you could probably give Harty now is what a fitting end for him. But we've still got one more game and hopefully end that with another trophy.
Had the left back spot pretty much to yourself this season. Do you think there's going to be more competition for the next campaign?
Yeah, I think so. That's been pretty much consistent since I've been at Celtic. It's either there's one coming in or there's one needed, is normally the shout. But that is football, that's the life of a big club, and we'll welcome the challenge. That's what it'll be, and that's what you need. We need two players that are strong and fighting in every position. As a person, he's so humble. One of the things he's did in the game, and his humility is unbelievable. And then I think he's been a real key leader in the group since he's come in. Between him and Cal, leading the change room and others following on, he's been pretty special.
What's it been like just working under the manager? Because obviously you went here in his first spell, but that's your first experience of him.
Yeah, amazing. I remember watching him from afar at Kilmarnock and probably with envy, wanting to work under a man of that stature, and to get the opportunity to do it, it's been amazing. I've really enjoyed it.
With Joe leaving, that's a massive blow with the leadership in the squad. You've certainly developed into a leader within the team. Do you see any other players really stepping up throughout this season and maybe looking into next year?
I think that's going to be important gradually as you become here longer. You've got guys that lead in different ways. I think like Cam that leads in terms of performance. He's a colossus at the back, and he does it more like that. And then you've got a couple of boys who are a bit more vocal in terms of Marcel and Cal and even Ali Johnson, who, of course next season will be big again, but it's important to remember guys like even Tony, who again comes into the team and he's so consistent. He's always supporting the boys, explaining what it means to others that come in. So I know another guy has been really key.
Really enjoyed that answer at the end there about the leaders and people leading in different ways, from Cameron Carter-Vickers, maybe not been quite as vocal as someone like Greg Taylor or Alistair Johnson, but leads by example. And also a mention for Anthony Ralston, someone who we don't see as much of as fans, because certainly recently he's barely played, but he has such an important role in the background, and it's those wee insights I love from players that fans don't necessarily see. So plenty of good stuff in there from Greg Taylor. And just on Ralston, by the way, who would have thought that he would have supplied one of the potentially season-defining moments? Remember that tackle in the dying stages at Easter Road with the scores level at 1-1. It's a major sliding doors moment. Where would we have been without that tackle? Potentially still champions, but who knows? Right, there were a couple of quite funny moments from Saturday. I love just sitting and watching the game here. It was a very different trophy day for me, but I felt like I got to kind of, I don't know, in a weird way, savour things slightly more watching it on TV here, not on Sky Sports, because you don't get Sky Sports here. but I've heard their coverage was really good and had lots of interviews we're going to come to. They also had this very amusing moment, Chris Sutton bringing Chris Boyd along for Trophy Day in the studio. He, of course, wouldn't want to miss it. And I genuinely thought this was very good patter from Celtic, getting Santa to bring the trophy out. And I just love the idea of people around the world seeing this photo or the clip and just wondering, what the hell is going on here? And this is how the league table finished. 93 points for us and an identical record to 2 seasons ago. Only the Invincible season and last season have actually beaten that final total over the past decade. So it's actually a pretty strong league season in the end. The team didn't look back at all after that loss at Tynecastle at the start of March. I don't think too many people would have had us dropping just 2 points for the rest of the season. So the team, from that moment and the Brendan Rodgers incompetent comments, just played a complete and utter blinder. It was magic. And as a result, we got to enjoy brilliant celebrations at Celtic Park. Just people enjoying themselves. I mean, the sun always helps, but just... like, as I say, I wasn't there on Saturday, but the thing I always remember from Trophy Days, and especially that one 2 seasons ago against Motherwell, I just remember the smiles on people's faces. I walked like basically around the whole ground that kind of morning before kick-off against Motherwell, and everyone was just so happy. And I dare say that would have been the same on Saturday there. And it was just a reminder of the effect Celtic have, positively and negatively, on people's happiness. I mean, if you were walking around Celtic Park in December when Hearts were beating us 2-0, you wouldn't be happy. Maybe if you saw Santa, you'd maybe shout something at him or boo him. But when Celtic are good and are winning and have won the league title, everyone's very happy. And that's the responsibility these players have going forward. Next season, be even better. But they deserve so much credit for the rest of the season. But amazing celebrations inside Celtic Park. From the sounds of things, the Merchant City was rammed again. Again, plenty of happy faces, savouring another Celtic title win. And you'd think we'd all get tired of celebrating, but that feeling just never gets old. And this title win is particularly satisfying, given that it looked in doubt just only a couple of months ago, as we say. The sun always helps, and we do tend to get good weather for these days. And I sense it won't be the last time the Celtic support are partying in Glasgow. Hopefully this Saturday is a fresh party as well. Now, there were a few interesting comments on Sky Sports after the game. We had Brendan Rodgers and Neil Lennon at it again. Rodgers came over to do his interview and grabbed Neil Lennon. As you can see, Neil Lennon kind of wants to put the praise back on to Brendan Rodgers. An image you may not have expected to see a year ago. In fact, just take yourself back to a year ago and imagine someone had sent you that image and told you that's what you were in store for. It's a reminder that things change very quickly. For me, two really great Celtic people, and they haven't always done things that have made us totally happy, but I don't think you can doubt their intentions, to be totally honest. Now, I thought there were a few interesting comments from Brendan Rodgers in that chat with Sky Sports. He said he's enjoyed the challenge of this season, but will enjoy it more next season when we can strengthen the squad. Now, again, there's just that message there. And again, it's similar to 2 years ago for me. We've won the league, but better is going to come next season. We're going to be stronger. We're going to be better. Those famous kind of Postecoglou words. I see something similar here with Brendan Rodgers, even though he's not said that directly. I think he very much thinks, like, we've been good this season, but we need to be better next year. And I think we're going to see that. It feels to me very much like, in a weird way, we've kind of got over the awkward phase and now we're just going forward with Brendan Rodgers. And maybe the Brendan Rodgers second era at Celtic is just really getting started from this point, as much as, we're possibly already going to have 2 trophies by the end of the season. He also spoke a little bit about the kind of tough times this season, the criticism. He said that he can take criticism, but when it turns personal, it oversteps the mark. Asked if he felt that had happened this season by Ailey Barber, he said, yeah, no doubt. From the 26th of August, the headlines were negative. I actually showed the guys today before we came here the story that was created all season, the narrative and all the various people and all the various headlines. Some were professional, some were personal, but I've always said we write our own story. And it's not only a professional sport lesson, it's life. You'll get written off, you'll get criticised, but as long as you stick to your own storyline, you'll be okay. This Celtic team are incredibly good at blocking out external noise and focusing on what's important, and that's basically what those comments from Brendan Rodgers are saying, and that's probably my favourite thing about this Celtic team, and there's many of them. They deliver under pressure. Turn the pressure up on this group of Celtic players and they will flourish under that pressure. And I think for me that's like elite sport, functioning and performing under pressure, and this Celtic team just does it. And it just makes me so confident domestically going forward. But I'm not saying we're going to win every trophy next season, but when things get tough, they've got this season, and to be honest, for a number of them, previous seasons as well, to fall back on. It's extremely positive. Europe is where we really want to see the progress. I think that's going to be a huge talking point between now and the first of our at least 8 UEFA Champions League matches next season. There was also, moving on to Joe Hart, there was, for me, probably the most telling Joe Hart quote so far on why he retired. Again, this is Sky Sports. I got to the point in my life where I was potentially on my way out. Then I got another opportunity. I don't want to push that luck. I just want to finish strong. I think it's my time to move aside and let someone else have some fun. So there you have it. Celtic gave Joe Hart something that he didn't think he was going to get, maybe enjoyment back for football, and being part of something. And he doesn't want to push his luck. He's quitting while he's ahead, and I think that's admirable. I actually think it's more admirable than him just continuing next season and maybe ending when he feels he's past. I think Joe Hart probably could be Celtic's goalkeeper next season. Of course he could. He's probably, I mean, you see goalkeepers playing into their early 40s. He's got more years in him, but I just think it's really admirable that he's quitting while he's ahead, because I think he'll be remembered so fondly as a result. He said himself, maybe next season he comes in and starts making some mistakes. Football fans do have short memories, and people would be critical of him very quickly if we started dropping points, saying, oh, you should have retired. He's being sensible, and as much as I think Neil Lennon and Chris Sutton were and James McFadden were kind of prodding him and saying, oh, come on, you can keep playing. I think he's done the right thing. Go out on top, and hopefully he can go out, with a win in his final game on Saturday. He's going to be a huge miss next season, and another moment from Saturday that he may have missed was he and Callum McGregor, after they lifted the trophy, stayed on the podium and were encouraging the rest of the squad to lift the trophy up. And I'm not just talking about the key players. We had Yang and O and Lagerbielke all getting to lift the trophy, and O actually initially lifted it and kind of did a bit of a tame like that and put it down. And I think Callum McGregor was kind of looking at him going, what was that? Be proud of yourself. And O then got the trophy again and lifted it up more kind of triumphantly. And I thought that was a great moment, and that's just a sign of Callum McGregor and Joe Hart being great teammates. These guys may not have played as big a part as them in our title win, but they still played a part, and they were still, as I say, a part of Celtic's triumph, so they deserve to take some sort of credit. And we move forward now to Saturday, and it's going to be a big one. In recent years, it's been a little bit different. Winning the league and trophy days kind of felt like the end of the season. I know last year we had a cup final to come, but we kind of all felt we were going to beat Inverness, Cally Thistle. I hate to say it, but it probably was a little bit of a formality that we were going to turn up and beat them. A year before, we weren't in the Scottish Cup final. A couple of years prior to that, I don't think we were in the Scottish Cup final. So it's probably the first time maybe since the kind of treble final against Hearts, when we've finished the league season but have a huge one to come just after, and a real test, and one that could go either way. I know Rangers are struggling a bit, and Philippe Clement even lost his own league title at the weekend, which is a hell of an achievement for him, and I know their fans aren't happy, but it's still going to be a tough game. So I think it's a huge one, and it must be a bit of a weird one for the team to have all that celebrating over the past week or so. And, you know, today they'll be going right back to work and preparing for a massive game. But, you know, that's being a Celtic player. Celebrate. But as Stevie says, once you finish celebrating, you're aiming to be celebrating again for the next trophy. I think we'll win on Saturday. There's an early prediction for you, of course I do. But, you know, let's give Rangers the respect that they deserve. Should I be saying that? Let's give them respect, because I think it's going to be a tough match, and hopefully if we turn up with the right attitude, we'll win. So yeah, we've got that to look forward to this week. Just before I go, I've got a shout out. Now, my dad was at an event on Friday, I believe, in Glasgow, and he met a guy called Stephen Carmichael. Now, Stephen Carmichael's probably jumped out of his chair right now at the mention of his name. If you are Stephen Carmichael, hello, I believe you've just recently subscribed to the channel. Maybe something to do with meeting my dad, but a big thanks to you. Good to have you with us. I hope you're well at this time, and that goes for the rest of you watching as well. Back tomorrow.